US and Cuba possibly starting talks to normalise relations. These reports emerging as Alan Gross heads home to the US after being released from jail in Cuba. Let's find out more from our correspondent in Washington, Philip Crowther. Philip, what more can you tell us about these reports of a possible prisoner exchange and a normalisation of relations between the US and Cuba?
We can essentially now confirm both. Let's talk diplomacy first. This normalization of the diplomatic relationship between Cuba and the United States, that will slowly but surely happen. Simple as that. The first step is the establishment of embassies in the respective capitals. A U.S. embassy will come to be in Havana, Cuba. That is now being organized. We aren't being given an exact time frame, but that should happen pretty soon indeed. The counterpart will also happen. There will be a Cuban embassy here in Washington, D.C. That is the first really big symbolic step toward that normalization of the relationship. The most symbolic one, that one came yesterday. There was a phone call between US President Obama and Raul Castro of Cuba that lasted between 45 and 60 minutes. The first phone call between the two, since their times in office, and indeed the first phone call between heads of state of the two respective countries, well, since the revolution, says the White House. That is absolutely significant. The two countries are now talking at the very, very highest level. Of course, we have to mention the embargo as well, the trade and financial embargo on Cuba from the United States. That will not necessarily be lifted with this planned normalization of the relationship between the two countries. That is up to Congress. Congress would have to vote on that. For now, the White House isn't putting direct pressure on Congress to do this. But significantly, in that aeroplane that is currently on its way back from Cuba to the United States with Alan Gross on board, there are 3 US senators. They are bipartisan senators. Maybe that is a first step in that direction toward a possible lifting of the embargo on Cuba as well. It's a monumental changes that have been announced by the White House here today, some of which will still have to come to be in the next few months.